you all for coming today. My name is Rich Padova. I'm the summer tour interpreter here at Lawrence Heritage State Park. And we do appreciate your attendance here today to mark this important occasion in the history of Lawrence Heritage State Park. As some of you may know, today is our actual anniversary. We opened our doors here on September 1st, 1986. And I had come up with the idea this summer. I approached Jim and Mike about this. And I said, how about, if we do something on our actual anniversary? Wouldn't that be nice? And they both agreed. Earlier this summer, you may have come to an exhibit that I had set up here in the gallery on our 30th anniversary. For those of you who missed the exhibit earlier this summer, at least today now we're happy to have you here for the closing event of our 30th year anniversary here. So I do want to just mention a couple of other quick things. First of all, if any of you are interested in joining the Friends group while you're here today, you'll see some of these brochures up here on the table where the cake is. So we do appreciate the friends who are here today and everyone else. And those of you who are not friends of the park, which would be designated supporters of the park, if you'd like to take a brochure and then return it to us, we do appreciate it. And behind me in the gallery, we have an exhibit up right now until the end of September, Revolutionary Art. We have a collection of posters, labor-related posters, on display in the gallery here. Feel free to take a look today while you're here if you haven't seen them already. And another little tidbit here of information. Monday, as many of you know, of course, is Labor Day, meaning that it's also the annual Bread and Roses Festival, 32 years now, coming up this Monday. So you, of course, are all invited. There's a big article in today's Eagle Tribune about the annual Bread and Roses Festival. So we hope to see you all on Monday, just a couple of blocks up from here on the Company-owned Common. And the opening ceremonies are at 11:30 in the morning at the Strikers Monument, which is directly across from Lawrence City Hall on the Common. And of course, we'll be doing the usual trolley tours and walking tours, and there'll be the exhibitors on the Common as well, food vendors. So let's hope the weather forecast is okay for Monday now. It's perhaps looking a little iffy with that, the remnants of the hurricane coming up the coast, but hopefully it'll bypass us here, and let's hope for some good weather on Labor Day. So, okay, so with those little announcements out of the way, I want to introduce my two supervisors here at Lawrence Heritage who helped me plan this day for us here today to celebrate our anniversary. Jim Beauchesne, the Visitor Services Supervisor, and Mike Mitchell, the Park Supervisor. If you would like to come up and say something.
Hey everybody, well, thanks for coming. Really appreciate you being here. And just briefly want to say that it's really been an honor to work here as long as I have. 18 years, I can't believe I've been here more than half of the park's existence. But anyway, did you know though that I started here at the age of 9, so I'm only 39 right now. But just appreciate everybody's support. And here's to another 30 years.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Rich, for organizing this great event. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Mitchell. I'm the Park Supervisor. I know most of you, but for some who we've not met, I want to thank you for coming out today and celebrating our 30th anniversary. It's hard to believe this place has been going strong for 30 years, but I think part of the reason is the people. That's what part of the story of the city is, the people and the workers and the city of workers. And what makes this place so great are the people that are involved, and I think that's part of why we had such a good run here the last 30 years. And so I just want to thank you all for being here, and thank our Senator L'Italian and Joe Bevilacqua from the Chamber of Commerce and others, people who have been involved in this place from day one. And we just want to thank you all so much, and hope you can enjoy this afternoon. And hopefully we can reminisce a little, tell some stories, and talk about maybe plans for going forward in the future. So I'll turn it back over to Rich, and we'll keep going. Thanks.
Okay, so State Senator Barbara Battalion, Democrat of Andover, if you'd like to come up now.
Good afternoon to all of you. I first want to start by acknowledging the anniversary, the 30th anniversary. I think that's fantastic. But I also, as I look around the room, realize that we're in a room full of doers, a room full of people that probably were very helpful in getting this off the ground, getting this concept to convert it into reality, and helping to make this happen. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the stories, first and foremost, I guess. A little bit of my own history. On my mom's side, my grandmother came from Nova Scotia and landed in Lawrence in search of her brother, who was a merchant marine who apparently got inebriated and got on the wrong boat and landed here. So she came looking for him and then stayed. Her husband came down from Lowell and was one of the first Irish people to actually run one of the mills for William Wood. On my dad's side, both my grandparents came down from Quebec, one from Le Chine, right outside of Montreal, and the other from Trois-Rivières. And so on my dad's side, while my mom's side, my grandfather was a member of management, on my dad's side, my grandmother and grandfather worked opposite shifts at the mill to keep a roof over my dad and his four brothers' heads. So very different flip sides of the same coin, I guess, of the mill experience here in Lawrence. So I am very grateful to all of you that played a part in putting this together because it's my heritage. It's my heritage with my grandparents and with my dad and his family who all worked in Lawrence and grew up in Lawrence as well. So I'm really grateful to all of you that have, been a part of putting this together and telling the story of Lawrence, which is ever evolving, ever changing. I spoke with a group of young people yesterday who are entering the Lawrence school system for the first time, and I mentioned that Lawrence has been and always will be a melting pot of different groups that come for various reasons and settle in Lawrence and make up the fabric of the city that makes it the vibrant city that it is today. So I would ask that if you could come up and I could give you this official citation from the State Senate. So this is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State Senate official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Lawrence Heritage State Park in recognition of the celebration of your 30th anniversary and commitment to preserving and honoring the industrial history of the city of Lawrence. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate, signed by Stan Rosenberg, President of the Senate, William F. Welch, Clerk of the Senate, myself, Barbara Battalion, given on today, my grandmother's birthday, September 1st, 2016. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator Battalion, for sharing your heritage with us and being with us today. Really appreciate this nice citation from the Senate. Thank you.
And next, we'd like to call up Mr. Joe Bevilacqua, the president of the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce, or Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Joe.
Now, my background's a little bit different than the Senate is. In fact, I was interested to learn about the relatives because, I grew up in Haverhill, live in Haverhill, and I'm Italian. So obviously, one thing that built the Merrimack Valley, we should all be proud of this and never forget the immigrants that came here to build this community. The Merrimack Valley was built by people that wanted a better life for themselves, for their families, and it was built by those who cared in craftsmanship. And one of the things I will never, ever, ever forget is I was coming over the bridge by Jackson Lumber one day, heading toward the wood mill. And they just built this brand new parking garage. And in the background was the wood mill. And on the brand new parking garage was a blue top. And there's the wood mill, 100 years old, standing in tremendous splendor, built by people that cared, craftsmen. I worked in a shoe factory in Haverhill when I was a kid. My grandfather was the foreman. My grandfather was actually born in Lawrence. And I saw immigrants from all over the country, all over the world, working together, side by side, making the finest shoes in the world. They were the shoes that were made for those that were the movie stars and the Oscar winners and all that kind of stuff. The company's still in business in New York. But we can never forget the people. And when I came to the Chamber of Commerce, a long time ago, before you, before you, we came to this building. We had quite a few events and programs here. Because this building celebrates what all of you know, that it's the people of the region that made the difference. And I want to say thank you to the senator. The senator is so supportive of people doing great things. I want to say thank you. Give her another round of applause. And I want to say thank you to all of you, because you're the backbone of the Heritage State Park. There never will be enough state money to run this properly. There never can be. And you all know that, unfortunately. So it takes your effort. But it doesn't just take your money. It takes your volunteerism. It takes you promoting this beautiful place, the outdoor patio area, which I think is fantastic. You know, and it promotes the fact that people work together. So whenever you come in, you see a new exhibit, you think of what the future begins to unveil to those that may not know the history of the region. And there are so many people that come here. We get calls all the time at the Chamber building. We're a couple blocks away, about the history of the community, and we tell them, go to the Heritage State Park. They have all the information you need. Isn't it true? Think about it. People have come here from all around. I mean, you must have a logbook this thick of people that have come here, people that have relatives that were here originally, and people that are coming here for the very, very first time. People that just want to hear the history and see the beautiful activities around the region. So anyways, on behalf of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, we're proud. I'm here, someone. This is a plaque of, I'm still young. This is a plaque of appreciation of all the good work you're doing. And what it says is, 2016, the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce commends the Lawrence Heritage State Park on your 30th anniversary. And I'll be back 30 years from now with another one. Congratulations.
Okay, I guess what we'll do next, quickly, before we dig into the cake. I know, the best part of why you're here today, right? The cake. But I'm just curious if anybody has any, maybe perhaps a special memory of Lawrence Heritage State Park that they'd like to come up and share with us. Yes, ma'am.
She's aging us right now, right? Really aging us.
Good afternoon. My name is Patricia Carl, and 30 years ago today, I was glad to be here with lots of friends and faces that I see around the room, and with the Stunzes, with the Gerards, and others, particularly who had been part of helping prepare for the opening. Mary and so many other wonderful teachers from the Lawrence Public Schools had worked with me and with the staff here to write a history of Lawrence that could be used in our schools and certainly used by researchers. And one of the great things of this opening in recognizing generations of immigrants was the park's collaboration with the newspaper to recognize people who made a difference in the city of Lawrence. And today we have so many people who are here who make a difference. 25 years, 30 years ago, it's just incredible. I was much younger and less forgetful. We were part of helping recognize individuals who had made a difference, and Jim got out the laminated copy of the cover from the Tribune. Thank you, of the people who were there. And so I had shared with him, so I would share with you. One of the folks who was recognized was my dad, Vin Foley, who was Director of Public Safety. And fortunately, he was well enough to be here for this great picture and was so honored as he looked around at Judge Fenton and some doctors and ordinary people from all over the city, and left the day that they took this picture just before the opening to say how wonderful it was as all of these people shared stories about Lawrence. And that's what was being recognized 30 years ago. Sadly, my dad was in a coma the day that the medal was given out, so my mom came and he passed away 5 days later. But the history of the city and the opening of the Heritage Park for all of us has always been a really important thing. So I want to thank all of you who have helped keep it going and be so successful. Over the years, we've spent lots of wonderful days, and I wish you well. And not sure I'll be here like Joe 30 years from now, but I hope so. Take care. Thank you.
Mrs. Call, maybe if we pass this around, would that be all right? If we pass this around for people to look at?
I think it belongs to the Heritage Park.
Donated by Mary Gerard.
Okay, would anybody else like to come up and share a memory or an experience, hopefully a positive one, at Lawrence? We don't want to hear about the bad experiences. No, but does anybody have a memory or experience that they'd like to share with us, with the assembled audience here today? I know, you're like, let's get to the cake, right? But no, seriously, would anybody else like to say anything? No? Okay, all right. I guess, okay, Jonas, yes, okay.
Jonas Gunza from the Lawrence Lawrence Historical Commission. You know, when we talk about city of workers, we often forget that each of those individual workers are people that came from various countries or were native Laurentian or from the Merrimack Valley of New Hampshire that formed this corporation, established it, and it was taken from the land of Methuen and from Andover, built as a model city, and then gave work to the new people that arrived. The forced famine of Ireland brought in the first Irish that developed and laid the first cobblestones, laid the curbstones, built the canal, built the dam. The French that came down from the other mill cities of New Hampshire. And as the world progressed and items occurred, the reunification of Germany brought the Germans to Lawrence. So we had a progressive German movement of educated doctors, attorneys, lawyers, reading organizations, clubs, Lyra Hall, etc. As the persecution of the Jews occurred in Eastern Europe by the Tsar, we had the arrival of merchants and Jews that came from not only Lithuania, Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Germany. As the Ottoman Empire teetered and started to fall apart, we had the Greeks that arrived, the persecution against them for being Christian, the Lebanese Christians that arrived as the persecution of their people as they came to Lawrence, and then the persecution of all the small countries of Eastern Europe, the blight that occurred in Sicily, in the vineyards that caused the massive migration of their youth that came looking for jobs, the lies that were sent in propaganda, the streets are paved with gold, and that you'll make your money and you'll be able to go back. But it brought them, and they're the ones who changed American labor history. It was their toil, the suffering of the 1912 and the 1919 strike, the strike of the 30s. Everything that we think of today as a normal routine, a weekend off, overtime, being able to argue about working conditions. All of these goals are the result of all the people before us. So I ask you to close your eyes and think of all of those who came before us that paved the way to make this society better. Let's be inspired by them and do that for the next generations. Thank you.
And Joe, I'm sorry, I neglected you earlier, but Joe Bell, would you like to come up and speak? Joe, cousin Joe here, right, is the president of the Friends Group here at Lawrence Heritage. And I'm sorry, Joe, I should have called you up earlier.
I have to say, one of my very highly positive situations that occurred here was when Mary asked me to replace her as president of the Friends of the Lawrence Heritage State Park, and I'm forever grateful to her for that. Although her shoes were very hard to fill, and they still are. You're the greatest, Mary. You really are. I just want to say thank you all for coming to this wonderful anniversary event, 30 long years. I can almost remember the first day I visited the park, and it was, as far as someone interested in history, I felt as though I was at home here. And so I tried to come as often as I could. I sputtered. But I'm so glad I did come. Researching the history of the city, coming here provided all the information all the information I really needed to get me through, finding out how the city was formed and started, and all the events that occurred up to the present time, including the 30 years of the park. So again, thank you all for coming today, and don't forget, half price Friends membership today. Those who aren't members. Thank you.
Yes, Mary Gerard, would you like to come up and say something?
No, but I'll use my teacher's voice, and I'm sure we'll all hear. We'll be delighted to know, obviously I'm getting to the stuff, all right? And you'll be delighted to know that today I am officially retiring my hat. Oh yes. Once upon a time, years ago, there were only volunteers, 1990 something, and we had Proposition 2.5 and 8 and everything else. So there were about 3 people on the staff. But we still had people coming to the park, thank God. And you have to do something with them. So I had retired, and it was time for me to hit the road. So I take the little groups out, and you get to the intersection of Common and Union. They didn't care when they looked at the size of me, or the little ones behind me. So I finally said to the supervisor, I need something. So he gave me my hat. When I get Common and Union, they stopped. So it is with great pleasure that I now pass it on to whoever wants to volunteer. Okay, you can have the hat with my blessing. I left the clip downstairs, my apologies. The other thing, and then I'll leave in peace, I want you to know how proud you should be to be Lawrence Heritage State Park. 30 years ago, there were 6 of us all around the state. This is another one of my gifts. All right? How many are left now? Just us. All right? So you have kept us going, and you've got to keep us going. All right? but I want you to be doubly proud today. We may retire one faction of the group, but you keep the rest of them going. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mary. And of course, we have to say that the supervisor who gave you that hat was
Richard Scott,
was Richard Scott. Okay.
name is on the box.
VSS. And we can't end the day without mentioning some of the other greats who worked here. Dave O'Neill, original park supervisor, and John Farrow, his successor. Which reminds me that when Joe said he was asked to replace Mary, I was thinking, no, you were asked to succeed Mary, not replace. Okay, so anybody else, memories, experiences that they'd like to share with the group here today? No, we're good? Yep, okay. All right, so maybe the park staff and Joe, maybe if somebody can get our picture and we'll cut the first slice of the cake. Would you like to do that?
Grab a knife.